Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unraveling the neurodivergent experience. Hello, another episode. It's another week. I am sat once again with my best friend and co-host, Mr. Jordan James. How the devil are you, sir?
In a lot of pain,
Oh,
back went again, but
crap.
I'm keeping positive about it. I'm going, well, you know, it's a setback. This isn't a brick wall. This is, you know, just a little hurdle to get over. Because, you know, I was in a really good place and I was regularly going to the gym and losing weight and just feeling really good about myself and my physical fitness. And yeah, you know, it just went in the gym as it often does. And I've just been resting it for a week and it's just got worse.
Oh, mate.
So it is what it is, and I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm not going to let it ruin my day. It's my first day off for a while. I've been working 12-hour days as I normally do, with all this pain as well.
Oh,
which is not fun. But you know, you just get through it. You know, I'm not going to not go to work just because I'm in pain. I'll just go to work and be in pain because if I'm at home, I'm in pain. If I'm at work, I'm in pain. So I'm not going to make that as an excuse to not to go to work. I've got a job and I have to go and do it. So that's me. I'm just being positive about it and going, you know what, this is a setback. I'm probably actually going to go swimming.
I was about to say swimming's probably my favourite thing to do when I'm feeling a bit crap.
It's part of my gym membership. And it really helped me in Mauritius when we were swimming a lot. You know, my back was so good. So I think I'm just going to go swimming and just look forward to the fact that on Monday, the builders are coming in to throw my life into chaos, but we're going to have a new bathroom fitted. And I'm so excited because it's going to be my Zen area. It's going to be like a bath spa. So I'm just going to keep looking at the things that are good and just focus on them.
That's awesome.
How are
dude.
you?
Yeah, do you know what, man? I am pretty good. We are recording a bit earlier than we normally do. For regular listeners, you'll know that my sleep pattern is shocking. I have never really had a good sleep pattern. And today I have managed to get up early and I actually feel full of beans. I've taken a 20 milligram and I've got a busy day of work ahead. But do you know what, mate? I am trying to stay positive. I used to get overwhelmed by thinking about having to do all of these things, and now I feel so much more chilled in life, and I feel like I can cope with so much stuff. So like you, I am trying to have a positive and just go, do you know what? Let's crack on with the day. Let's do it with a smile in his voice and a pep in a step. So that's what I'm trying to do today. And we'll see how long it lasts, probably until my 20 milligram wears out in about 6 hours. So we'll see until then. But I've got the meds. The meds are all sorted. I managed to go to the pharmacy and get them without having a scrap. So that was good.
That's so good, dude.
So that was nice because I've had a couple of issues with the pharmacy that I'm at, and because I'm moving house, I can't move my GP just yet because I'm back in the tritation period because I couldn't have them for so long. So it's like I have to go to this particular pharmacy, and I've not had a lot of amazing experiences with them. So I turned up yesterday expecting the worst, and I came out with meds. So that's a positive. And like you were saying, I'm trying not to dig myself a hole before I already put myself in one with worrying about things or making things worse. So I'm just trying to be positive and get on with it. But my God, do the meds help?
Absolutely. I mean, as much as like my whole new way of thinking of like, you know, if there's nothing you can do about it, then there's nothing I can do about it. but I think like I did get really upset with my back, when it first happened, because the fact is that, no, I mean, I could have avoided it by like doing a different exercise, but I never know what's going to set my back off.
Mm,
Literally, and it's never like, oh, it's that part of your back. That's the only. It could be my upper back, it could be my lower back, it could be sciatica and or glutes, and it's
mm,
like, oh well, this exercise works. Sorry, not this exercise. This stretch works for this particular thing, but it just so happened that I was actually feeling better yesterday, much better, because the most of the pain was in right in my coccyx,
mm,
and I just did a little bit of stretching before I went to bed, and then suddenly it disappeared from the coccyx and then just shifted to the left glute, and now my left glute is just on fire. But like I said, today I'm just going to chill, do this with you, and then I'm just going to go and play some video games, slowly walk on my walking pad, just to move. So I just look at like the solutions rather than focusing on the problem, and that's very much, and this fits in nicely with our subject
mm,
today. This is how I came to terms with my neurodivergence, and, accepting the disability side of it, and rather than just concentrating on it as like the worst thing ever, and
mm.
then just focusing on all the positive sides of it. So yeah, what is today's episode?
Our neurodivergence, or accepting our neurodivergence. And I think this is a really good place to start season. Well, we started season 2 last week, but I think this is a really good topic to start on because I actually feel like if I was to have done this episode a year ago, it would be very, very different to the one that I can do today. Simply
Hmm.
because I'm so much further down my journey of accepting my neurodivergence. I mean, when we first met, Jordan, I was running away from it. I was really scared about being autistic. I drunk the Kool-Aid. I drunk the Autistic Society Kool-Aid and was like, oh my God, my life is over. I have ruined everyone's lives around me.
Mm.
I cannot control my rage. I cannot control my pain. Am I a bad person? That is where I was when we first met. And the journey that I feel like I've now gone on to accepting my neurodivergence has been probably one of the best experiences of my life for the results. It's not been easy, but the results that I'm now experiencing, similar sort of mentality to what you're adopting with your pain. There's not a lot I can do about it, but embrace it and work with it rather than being afraid of it and going against it.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the attitude to have if you're ever going to get through this
Mm,
life, as it were. And I think that for a lot of people, they will, because of the rhetoric out there, the negative attitudes, and the giant pity party that also exists, which is, by the way, equally as annoying as the people that won't accept you, as the people that will like overly accept you and then pander to your
mm,
to your disabilities. So they'll, it's something I particularly worried about when I first started doing photography. Was I was like, okay, are people only saying that they like my photography because I'm autistic? And
Do you
and
know
it's
what?
like that.
I never considered that is obviously something that you would have felt. You would have been
Yeah.
like,
I was like,
people.
"Am I good, or are people just being nice because
Oh
of my
wow.
autism?" And I would have hated that. Like, I don't want false praise. I don't want a pity party. I just want acceptance and adjustments, reasonable adjustments if and when I need them. But I don't need, it's like one extreme to the other, of like people just not accepting it and being really nasty and just dismissive, to
Mm,
people that are over the top, and they're saying, yeah, and I have seen it, and I will call it out. I'm not name by name, but I definitely have seen autistic people who are talentless, and I don't mean that as in, oh, that's my opinion. I mean just uh, factually, they are talentless at the things that they're trying to be good at, and it's
mm,
like, and people around them are like boosting them and say, "Oh my god, that's amazing! You can sing." And this particular person that I had in mind could not sing. Like it felt like one of those weird auditions when you used to watch like the X Factor or American Idol, uh, Britain's Got
Mm,
Talent, and
mm.
it's just someone comes up there and is just tone deaf and impossibly bad at singing, and their families in the background going, "Oh, she's just wonderful. Oh, yeah. Oh, you should hear her at karaoke. She, the place goes.
So
Oh,
it's
they
that's
love her."
complicated, isn't it?
And it's like, oh yeah, and she's blind. I'm like, what's I'm okay, she's blind. That's awful, but that doesn't make her suddenly a good singer. Like, she's not a good singer because she's blind. She's a bad
Mm,
singer, therefore she's a bad singer. It's this heart wrenching stories over actual talent, and I certainly worried about that sort of thing because I had people go, "Oh, well done." So it's like I don't want to be a great photographer despite the fact that I'm autistic. Like, I wanted to be a great photographer because I'm autistic, and that was
mm.
my whole ethos. So I do get slightly annoyed about that, and I think that that's a big reason why people worry about accepting their own challenges, accepting their own start again, accepting their own limitations because they they don't want to be false and they don't want to lie to themselves, but also I think they're worried about being judged in general.
Mm. No, I completely, yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from with that, because I've worked in many competitive fields. You know, I do acting, I do broadcasting, and it is competitive. And there have been many times where I have looked at jobs and applied for jobs, and it's had the diversity inclusivity clauses in the interviews and stuff. I can honestly say I have never put my disability on the inclusion thing on any interview, simply because I don't want to feel like I've got the job just because I've put that I'm autistic on it. I want my body of work to kind of speak for itself. You know, I want to get an audition or an
Yeah,
interview
you don't want to
because I'm
be.
good at it. I don't want them to give it to me because they feel sorry for me.
Yeah, so you don't want to be a statistic.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to kind of. I would hate, like, because I've not really talked about my neurodivergence necessarily with my like freelancy stuff, other than the fact that like now I am almost exclusively a neurodivergent podcast producer, which I am loving. I'm loving working with other neurodivergent people and finding other ways to work and different nuances. But there are times where I think if I was to say, "Oh, I'm autistic ADHD," in an interview, there is an alarm bell that rings on either side of my brain. There's one that goes, are these people going to judge me? Are they now going to hit me with their stereotypes and go,
Mm.
are you autistic? Are you not autistic? Are you just lying to get that on your application? To the very other side of that thinking, which is, you know, are they only going to give me the job because it says they have to? And I would hate to then walk into a situation and be in an office and people are like, oh, you're the special one that we've hired. And I'm like, oh, that
Yeah,
feels
you're
weird.
you're a special needs hire. Yeah, it's just crap. It really is, and the thing is that, like, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think
No, I don't either.
that's the reason we exist as advocates is well, there's many reasons because there's so many issues with being
Yeah,
neurodivergent
afraid
and
so.
and
Yeah.
the acceptance of disabilities, with even within ourselves, which is what we're going to talk about
Mm,
soon. Um, but I do think that there is a huge worry um, from the world in general is just judgment, whether it's positive
mm,
or negative. So it is a totally legitimate feeling. I think
absolutely.
when I first got diagnosed, I do you know what? I must be one of a very few people at the time. Certainly, I think it's got better since then. But we talk about nearly a decade ago, um, who literally just wanted to go and tell everyone. Like I told my trainer at the gym, like, so I'm autistic, and I'm like, I was just telling everyone because I literally didn't actually have any negative feelings towards autism, because I was like, okay, well, I'm not autistic like the kids and the stereotypes that I've seen on TV. I'm autistic, and I know that a lot of people don't like this because but I'm more autistic, like, I would the Asperger's, because that's what I was diagnosed at the time, and
Yeah.
I didn't, but it was like, oh, I'm just like a different type of autistic, which is true. I'm not like a better autistic or a worse autistic, and
Oh,
I
the
certainly,
spectrum's so varied, isn't it?
well, this is why I like the idea of being in the spectrum. And
Yeah.
again, you can't be on the spectrum because it's not linear. You can only be in it
It's a
because it's a
3D
circle.
space. It's like
It's a 3D. So you have to be in the spectrum. We need to start changing this officially. I'm going to start a movement.
it's a good thing to start, I think.
I'm not going to start a movement unless it's a movement where I'm helping my back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really important to feel in something and part of something, because we are often so lonely and so ostracized that it's really good to feel part of something. And I think that was also a big part of accepting. Do you know what the weird thing is? And I would absolutely give you a go in a second, but I think what, like, it's just coming to my head. I think what the weirdest thing was is that when I first got diagnosed, I was literally like, oh my God, I was telling everyone. I was like super excited. I was like, I finally got this answer. I finally, I know who I am more than I did the day before I got diagnosed. Like, I get
Yeah,
it now.
it's like BCAD sort of thinking. It's like, oh my God, life changed.
It was brilliant. But I actually started going, okay, well, maybe I need autistic friends. And then I started, and going on, I actually got, like, I wasn't really, I didn't do any social media at all at that point. I went on an app that was like, it said, Aspie Friends. So I was like, oh, okay,
Sure, I've never heard of this.
that's great. So I went on this app, and it's basically just social media for Asperger's people. Asperger's people. And I was just shocked at how miserable everyone was and how negative. I swear it was just a space for people to come and go, my life is shit, and I'm just going to let everyone else know. And then other people going, yeah, my life is shit, and at least I'm not the only one that it's shit. And I was desperate to be like, well, I want to communicate with these people, but I had nothing to say, because I couldn't say my life is shit, because it wasn't. It has been up and down. It
Oh
hasn't
yeah.
been all roses.
Yeah.
But the fact is that I didn't get into that space to complain about being autistic. I got into that space to celebrate being autistic, and I actually put, oh, I'm really happy, and I've got a great job and a great family. And instead of people going, oh, that's wonderful, they were like, oh yeah,
What have
good
you
for
got to be
you,
happy about?
good for you. Oh, I suppose you just wait. And then I was like, wow, that's a lot of negativity. Like, people just hated the fact that they were autistic, and then I just felt really sad. I was like, oh, okay, delete that out, like, get the flip away from that.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
But then I went to an Asperger's, it's what's called Asperger's club, and to meet people again, trying to get some friendships going. And it was just very, very disabled, like mentally disabled people. And I was like, hold on. I'm nothing like them. Like, none of them had a job. They all had care. None of them had driving licenses. They were, I mean, everyone was like, they could speak, and a lot of them were super smart and stuff, but they all needed care. And I'm rocking in like, I just thought, this is ridiculous. And the woman who was running it talked to me like I was a 3-year-old.
Oh,
And
gosh.
I looked at her going, one, I know I'm smarter than you. And
that's a very autistic thing to say.
and two, and I literally said this to and you are degrading to these people, because we did a quiz at the end of this session, and it was so, if you're playing like Trivial Pursuit, if you ever played Trivial Pursuit, and there's like Trivial Pursuit questions, which I always have a Trivial Pursuit, you either know the answer or you don't, and you're not stupid if you don't know the answer,
If you don't know,
because
you don't
not
know.
everybody, it's literally trivia, and you either know or you don't know, and I've never felt stupid. But there are family questions, which are the super easy ones, like how many chipmunks are there? With Alvin and the Chipmunk. There's technically there's 6 because there's 3 girls. But anyway, I know I'm super autistic, but it was so ridiculous. And I'm looking at all these adults, and I literally said, I was like, but this is actually insulting, and it was, and so I just never went back. I didn't make any friends. I wanted to, and I actually said to this kid, I said, "Oh, I think he was like 5 or 6 years younger than me. I call him a kid, but whatever."
Yeah, he's younger than you. He's a kid.
He was, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's how it works. When you're a dad, everyone's a kid that's younger than you.
Yeah.
And I just said, just maybe you want to meet up. I love going into nature. I love going for walks. And he's like, "Oh, I don't leave the house." And I went, "What do you mean you don't leave the house?" Because again, I had no real experience of autism whatsoever. So I was learning on the go.
What a deep end dive that must have been.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a learning experience.
Very forming experience potentially on your mindset going forward after that.
I just didn't get it. He was like, "I hate nature." And I was like, "What?" Like, he's like, "Oh, I just play video games all day." I go, "Yeah, I like video games, but not all day." But the thing is that, like, fast forward to now, I have a friend who never goes out. He just doesn't go out. If he's out, he's dragged out, and he just sits around. And he's got a full-time job, but when he's off, he just sits around and he plays video games. That's all he does.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think he's completed Red Dead Redemption like 4 or 5 times. But this, we'll talk about this later. But like he's a completely different type of autistic to me. And at the time when I was getting to know about autism and I was trying to get to know myself and get to know others, I literally just thought, oh, if somebody was autistic and they're the same, obviously it was all about levels then, and I was very naive. But if they're the same level as I am, if they've hit those markers like I did, they must be very, very similar to me. And oh wow, what an awakening experience when you just realize, yeah, similar experiences, but like nothing like me.
Yeah.
So what was it like when you first got that diagnosis and you were in my position?
Do you know what, mate? I did not see the autism diagnosis coming at all. I knew nothing about it, right? I had done all of my research, ADHD, ADHD, ADHD. Oh yeah, I speed up when I talk. I, struggle with focus. All the hallmarks of what you imagine ADHD is. Like, I went on TikTok, I watched some stuff. Oh, I think I've got ADHD. That was my experience of neurodivergence at the time. So when the lady said to me, autistic ADHD, I had a bit of recoil.
Did she actually say autistic ADHD?
Well, no, she said ADHD, like autism.
Oh, okay.
ADHD.
No, I just think that's actually really cool. I like
autistic
that.
ADHD. But the recoil that I felt when she told me I was autistic, I was like, no, I'm not. And this is where my mind was at the time. I was like, I can leave the house. I've had a girlfriend. I've had a job. Because the stereotype of what I imagined autism to be was what you described with this club, because that is the rhetoric that I had been experienced to. It was just a lack of education. And the whole time I was like, so if I'm autistic, then I can't do that. And if I'm autistic, then I can't do that. And it was more of a sense of, rather than going in the positive aspect of you going, oh my God, I have this answer. I understand more about myself than I did yesterday. My response was, oh my God, I understand more about myself today than I did yesterday. And I am really not happy with the results. I'm frightened. I'm really worried that I have pushed my life in a direction of I want to achieve this, I want to do this, and now it's never going to happen because I'm autistic. That is
Oh,
where I was
dude,
in life, because I was like,
man.
I'm going to struggle to keep relationships. This is why I've really struggled to keep friends, because I'm not meant to have friends. This is why I sometimes
Oh,
struggle to go
dude.
out a lot, because I'm not meant to go out a lot. And this is
Mm.
genuinely where my mindset was. And I think that is quite a nice cliffhanger to put a break in. And then we'll come back on the back of the break and we'll say how we've accepted our neurodivergence and how we got there in the first place. So stay with us. We'll be right back. This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults, with prices starting at £900. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment. You are listening to the Neurodivergent Experience with me, Simon Scott, and I am here with advocate, photographer, best friend extraordinaire, and Mr. Jordan James. So before the break, I was discussing how I wasn't very happy with my autism diagnosis. I thought my life was over, but there was
Yeah.
one particular moment about a year into my unmasking process that felt awful, really. I felt like I was dissolving away and I lost all of these masks that I'd played, and I kind of was like, who the hell am I? And I had the most horrific meltdown on my mum's birthday because I was trying to explain something that I struggled with, and she couldn't really understand what I was trying to communicate because I was being alexithemic in the moment.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now I understand all of this. It seems so simple, but at the time I was like, my words aren't coming out. I'm not communicating. Why is nobody understanding me? I feel so isolated and alone in this moment. And I had the worst meltdown I've had in years. I was banging my head. I was hitting myself. I was screaming. This was the first time I'd ever had a meltdown in front of Caris. So the shame I was feeling and the guilt, and I was just like, oh, I'm a horrible human being. I've done this on my mum's birthday. This is absolutely awful. Ugh. And I was in the garden rocking with my hands over my head. And my dad came up to me and he went, son, what's going on? I says, this is an autistic meltdown, Dad. And he turned to me and he put his hand on me and he went, son, this isn't new. He says, I've seen you do this multiple times. I says, this isn't just appeared because you're now autistic. You've always been autistic. This is who you are. He says, you've got to just kind of accept that this can happen. And it was
Mm.
a really like ding light bulb moment of me going, I haven't been infected with autism. I haven't just gone, oh, you picked it up on the playground. You've got this horrible thing that is all of these things. It was like, do you know what? I now have an answer as to why the buzz of the fridge gives me a headache. I now have an answer as to why I struggle with certain textures of clothing. None of these things make me a bad person. It's just who
Well,
I am as
exactly.
a person. It's just who
Yeah.
I am. And it was because there was all of this rhetoric
Mm.
around this isn't normal. This isn't how you should be. And I was just so desperate to just be accepted or feel normal or just to be able to live my life without having to explain to somebody why I live it the way I live it. But now I have the answer, and it's been a process. It's very freeing. And I feel like doing this and talking to you and meeting you specifically, the positivity angle was huge, but it really
Oh,
upsets me and
thanks, dude.
shocks me. No, because it's true, and
Yeah, I I can't tell you how good that makes me feel that I was able to be part of what helped you feel good, man. Like because I when you were talking, I was just I just wanted to reach through the screen and give you like the biggest freaking brother hug
Mm,
because I just I
that's how I
love you
felt.
so much, dude. And just the even the idea of you being so unhappy in the past makes me sad. So
Mm.
the fact that I could have even been a part of that, to make you feel better, that's
Oh
just so
well,
good,
well,
man.
I think a lot of listeners will back me up on this, and if you're listening, do you know what? Drop us a comment because it is good to hear it. It's good to reinforce it. In the our friendship across this microphone or across this screen, however you're listening or enjoying this show, is so authentic. I think what we are doing by having this communication is it's not presenting an idea, it's presenting evidence that this is the kind of people we can be. This is who we are. This is our culture. This is how our community communicates. And these are the sorts of friendships that neurodivergent people can have in a safe, welcoming environment.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
dude,
just this is the
beautifully said,
most
man.
authentic, truest version of neurodivergent friendship because we accept each other. And you know what? When I went down to you, you had a shock because you thought I was more ADHD inclined, and you were like, "You're mate. How did you not figure out you were autistic?"
Can I ask a quick question? Because
Absolutely.
like, I remember when we first met, you said you're ADHD,
Mm.
and I did like an internal eye roll and was like,
Yeah. Do you know what? Now I look back on it, I can see it as well.
and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because obviously, I don't think autism and ADHD are the same diagnosis. Far from it. There are similarities and there are crossovers. Simply,
Mm.
literally, because it is a type of brain, and you will get diagnosed as you get diagnosed, and you will struggle as you struggle. And I think a lot of these diagnoses are just down to how we interact and how we struggle with different things, and it depends on who sees that and who can help us. But essentially, autism and ADHD, it isn't, it isn't a brain type. It is the synaptic pruning process and the lack of it
Mm.
that decides the type of person we're going to be, as far as like our disabilities and abilities are concerned. And it's it's just where that's going to fall for the diagnostic criteria.
Mm.
So it's kind of like, for some it's very obviously autism, and ADHD won't even get looked at, simply because somebody is so profoundly disabled that they lack the communication skills, and people will see autism so much, that they don't even think ADHD, because and that happened
Mm.
to my son's friend. Um, my friend's son. Let's get around. So that happened to my friend's son. He was, he was completely looked over, for ADHD, and when he finally got the diagnosis, finally got into the medication, he actually stopped having meltdowns. He just
I've not
stopped
had one
having
in over a year. It's crazy.
it. I wish there was more research into this, because it is really harsh that, if you get diagnosed with ADHD, you actually get help with it. And when you get diagnosed with autism, you don't get medical help with it, because people are, oh, there is nothing, there is no pill. There is.
There is,
It's
and it's
methylphenidate.
real good.
It's the same as it's ADHD medication helps autistic people because it's one bloody brain. It's not ADHD medication.
It's
It's
the emotional
neurodivergent.
regulation for me. It's like, oh,
100%.
I can so cope. It's like Dr. Luke Bearden, right? His formula: autism plus environment equals outcome. Autism plus environment plus medication equals more rounded, comfortable outcome for me, because I find with the medication I can go into environments that I wouldn't necessarily cope with, and I feel like I've just got like more spoons of tolerance, patience, resistance. I can deal with
100%.
sensitivities. I can deal with loud noises. Mate, I don't wear sunglasses when I go out anymore. I used to wear sunglasses all the time because I have extreme light sensitivity, and it's not like it's gone, but I can now drive on a grey day and not feel like I have to wear sunglasses, otherwise I'm gonna crash the car. That's a life-changing feeling. That's a
Yeah.
life-changing experience when you feel like I can't do this without this. Like, I
And then
can't
you
go to the
accept
shops
that.
without a bum bag with all my things in.
Yeah.
But now when I've got the medication, I go, I don't need the bum bag. Yeah, I might do, but today I don't. And it's like I just almost have this like ability to just shift gears so much quicker in my change of thinking, but also in my tolerances and my sensitivity and how I respond to things. And I don't just go and get in a rage. It's like I have peace of mind and just let the wave of just whatever's happening go over me rather than just blowing me to bits.
But and obviously we talk a lot, and we talked this week about internalized ableism, which is
Mm,
something that's brought up on my Facebook page quite a lot, about internalized ableism.
yeah.
And to be honest, I've always kind of just thought, oh, it's just one of those words that people try and like have a go at me, because a lot of people try and have a go at me. It's social
Mm.
media. I'm
Yeah.
sitting there
Well,
like,
yeah, it's kind of
what?
part of the game,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And the thing is, I don't even care anymore. It is amazing how much it used to affect me, that it just literally doesn't, even a little bit
And
now.
I have to acknowledge that it's crazy how the amount of phone calls we had where you'd be like, I can't believe this person said this to me on my page, like, and you would sit on it for days and days, and now
Oh,
it just like
dude, it would
whoosh
be in my
straight over you.
dreams. Like, I
Oh
would
yeah,
be able
it'd
to,
be all
because of that eidetic
consuming.
memory, I'd be able to see it. And now I'm like, oh, somebody said something bad about me. Oh well.
Get in line, bro.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah.
oh no, because if you actually look at every single, like, honestly, and I'll get back to what we were talking about in a second, but
So let's do a little tism
yeah,
tangent
yeah,
here.
we're just ADHDing to the side here.
Keep up.
But I don't know why, but I've suddenly got into watching like dash cam footage.
Oh yeah, Russian
Of
dash
just
cam
like
footage on YouTube. Yeah.
no, it's like English drivers just doing the dumbest
Oh
shit
yeah,
ever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I watched this. Um, oh bugger! Hold on, take a break. Where was I going? What was I talking about?
English dashcam drivers. Oh, what would we call that? What's that called when your thought just disappears?
Brain fog.
Listeners, get in touch if you know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep this in because
no,
this is
don't.
the
It's like,
neurodivergent experience. This is how it works. You go and it's gone, and it's gone.
damn it.
But
No, do you know what? Okay, for everyone listening, that is a real disability in my brain. That it's just, I had a total thing going, and it's like, oh, it's just gone now. Yeah, that sucks. And oh right, okay, now I remember. That's brilliant.
all right, we'll just wind it
So
back. Sorry, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen. We'll come back to you in a second. Just ignore that all that.
yeah. So like when I'm watching this dash cam footage, I read the comments. I knew I'd get there.
Hey.
And the comments are wild. Like somebody like is driving, and then someone just pulls out in front of them, and the guy like puts his horn on, and people are like, "Oh, you had plenty of time to stop." And I'm like, "But that's not really the point, is it? Somebody just pulled out in front of him, like." And someone put a thing where a bus just comes out in front of this guy. It's just so rude. Forget about the fact that he nearly caused an accident. It's just rude. And you're a bus driver, you're a professional driver, and you're just pushing in. It's just rude to me. And someone was like, "Oh, that reminds me of the time where someone pulled out of me while I was driving around London, and they were pulling out of a turning in Scotland. Ha 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 ha. I only just about had enough time to slow." And I'm like, dude, why are you even writing that? What is wrong with your life that you're literally spending the time to do this? And then I realized that I'm spending the time to read it, and then I just shut up. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just about to say, like,
And then I'm like,
Caris will
just
do
put it
it.
down.
The amount of times Caris will hand her phone over and she'll go, "Look at this TikTok and reel," and then like 3 seconds into it, she'll just press the comment button. And I was like, I was watching that, and now I'm reading what other people think while they were watching it.
I do
All right.
I do like reading what other people think. I find it
Yeah.
fascinating, especially like with like, you know, basketball news and stuff like that. And it's just like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
that
Public
guy was
forums.
traveling, or that guy was the same thing was like, oh, that was the best dunk ever, and it was like, oh, that guy's overrated, and I'm like, oh wow, like,
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that actually makes me feel, I think that has helped to make me feel better about people for saying negative things to me, and accepting the fact that people will say negative things. But like I said, back to the subject. The thing I was
Welcome back, everybody.
yeah, some editing might be needed there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you.
So I didn't really understand internalized. I sort of got an idea of it, but I just thought it was like one of those things that people just throw at my way, like when somebody uses the word woke as an insult, and I'm like, what?
Cool.
Like,
I
okay.
got called a snowflake the other day, and I was like, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, all right, cool.
Do you know what? Like, if anyone listening, if somebody calls you a snowflake, go, thank you, because that means I'm completely unique and individual, because every single snowflake is beautiful and unique and none are alike. Look at the positives, not the negatives.
Namaste.
And snowflakes are beautiful. So you are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you, yeah.
That's great.
Not the listener, but you know. You're listening.
I'm technically listening.
We're all beautiful. I'm more beautiful, but we're all beautiful.
Anyway.
Wow, you did that thing. You did the thing. We talked about this last week where you said you can't say anything nice about yourself because everyone goes, oh yeah, whatever. You just did that.
Oh yeah.
I just said I'm beautiful and I'm more beautiful.
Anyway.
And I'm like,
yeah,
and
you're
then
right.
You just did that thing.
Damn it.
Dude, I spent so long hating the way I looked. Just thinking I was ugly. I was like, I would focus, oh, look at my teeth, or look at my nose, or look at this.
I still do that.
But being on social media, I got a lot of attention from the ladies and a lot of men as well.
Oh yeah, big gay following, love that.
Yeah, I got a lot of messages from the men. I'm fine with that.
As a straight man, there is no better. Right, when I used to work in Soho, right?
Who said I'm straight? Oh no, you. Okay, that's right.
But like, as I was talking as a straight man myself, I personally think there is no better compliment than if a gay man tells me I look great, smell great, or are good looking, because they don't have to. And
yeah. No, I get told.
I was just
by guys.
Thank you very
time.
much, sir. Thank you, sir. So yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. And I just went anyway. It's just so instinctual.
It was like, okay,
all right.
Look, I would never suggest. Oh yeah, I'm gorgeous, or I'm so handsome, and everybody thinks I'm good looking.
It does show the different mentalities, doesn't it?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who definitely think I'm good looking. And I will focus on the parts of me that I go, oh, I like that. And it's like, I've got nice arms, or I've got a nice jawline, or, I've got nice hair, or whatever it is that I like about myself, not what other people like, what I like about myself. I will just focus on that. And once again, that is what I will do with, autism and ADHD and dyslexia and all the parts of me that I'm like, oh, maybe not everybody likes that part of me, but I like that part of me, and that's what we need to focus on.
Do you know what? That's a really good point, actually, because that really shows well the difference in where we are in our journeys, don't you think? In that I do struggle to talk about the things I like about myself. I had a friend of the show and somebody I work with and is a keen listener, and Dr. Angela Kingdon from the Autistic Culture podcast messaged me the other day and went, we spoke, and she said, I'm really proud of you for saying that you're an actor in your intro. And she said, because you're owning it. And I was like, do you know what? I didn't nearly put that in. Yeah. Jordan said to me, put that in, Si. You won't believe in yourself. Yeah. And it's, and even when I edited it and listened to it, I was like, oh, cringe. But that feeling of shame, that feeling of rejecting my identity, that form of self-discrimination is what I would personally call internalized ableism, because it's all like negative social attitudes about myself. And by not believing in myself, if I think about, I am my own human, it is my responsibility to look after my human. I am not very good at supporting myself. I am not very good at being confident in myself. It is one of the biggest things that I have to work on. And through accepting my neurodivergence, I'm accepting myself, and my confidence grows. It's amazing. I'm just going to jump in. Feels. But
I'm going to jump in there, and I'm going to say, but that's okay.
Yeah,
because there is a risk of you saying, I can't accept that. That's a problem I'm working on. But then you'll feel bad about feeling bad, and it's
feedback
just like
loop from hell just starts again.
Literally, it's like a tiny little boulder, and then it goes down. It suddenly becomes an avalanche, and you've got to be. I've got to say, look, it's okay. It's okay that you don't feel great about yourself, because it is, at least you can recognize that, and then you can work on that. You know, the best thing you can do if you want to improve on yourself is admitting, not giving into, but literally knowing your own issues. You know, your you know, your weaknesses, so you can build them into strengths. You know, because it's not like every day I wake up and go, "Oh, I'm the best human ever," you know, because that's just not how that
No,
works. But
yeah.
certainly recently, and do you know what I actually said for the first time ever, and really meant it, that I love myself. I was out for a walk with Sylvia, and we were holding hands, and I was talking about, like, you know, how different I feel, and I said, "Do you know what? I love myself. I love myself, and I'm proud of myself." And I said, "And I deserve you."
Mm.
And I might have said something along those lines, but it was all just trying to feel like that, which is nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you literally stand in front of a mirror every day, or just say to yourself, "I love myself, I love myself, I love myself," even if you don't feel it, saying those words will actually help you. I mean, not everyone. I'm not. I don't like stuff. Oh yeah, it's an easy fix. But it is proven that just thinking positively, and that is again, that is part of accepting your neurodivergence, is just loving yourself, and not feeling like you're a failure because you can't do something, and just realizing, you know, it's okay.
Mm.
It's fine. It doesn't mean that I can never do that thing, and it doesn't mean that I can't work on doing that thing. It just means that right now I can't do that thing, and that is okay. And everyone listening, it's okay. You're okay, and that's how I look at
Yeah,
it.
it's like creating accommodations for yourself. You know,
But
it's like
let's
working on that. But go on.
yeah, and let's have a break, and we can go more into internalized ableism when we come back.
This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults, with prices starting at £900. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment.
And we're back. Back is a triggering word for me.
Oh, just like,
Dude, just
yeah.
on the side, dyslexia is hard because back and back are the same word, and they
The
mean
English language is very cool for
totally.
dyslexia. There's a lot of words
Also,
that mean other words. It's hard to navigate.
but do you know what's even crazier? Back and back are literally spelt the same as well.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
What a mind mess that is.
literally, who came up with this? Whoever came up with the dictionary was absolutely high. They were high as fuck. They were sitting there and
Yeah.
in their
Oh
you know,
dear.
big old chair with a big old weed pipe, and they would just smoke. They were just chogging away, and they were like, back. The back is on the back of your body, so it's the back. That'll work. Just like,
I would love to get a
Start
language
again.
expert and explain it all to us.
Start
That'd be an
again.
hour I'd like to
No,
hear.
we're going to do our own dictionary. We're not going to do that. That's an ADHD thing. I'm going to write my own dictionary. Do you know what? I had like one day I had a thought of like, I'm going to redesign the entire educational system. That's what I'm going to give to the world.
Just in an afternoon.
Yeah. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I made a big announcement as well to my family. Like, this is what I'm going to do.
Do you know what? That has
Guess
to be
what? It never happened.
No, that has to be such an autistic trait, right? Because every institution I've ever been in, I've gone, I'm going to fix it from the inside. Whether it be sixth form, university, places I've worked, I'm always like, I have no experience in this, but I can see you're doing it wrong. Here are suggestions of how to do it better.
I mean, in the spirit of like, let's split our brain into two, which I don't normally like doing, of the autistic and the ADHD. It's like the autistic is like, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to be amazing. And then the ADHD is like, what was I doing again?
Only if it's fun, though.
Those trainers look nice.
You're having a very serious conversation with somebody and you go, so we'd visit, I like your shoes. Like, that's just where we're at.
Okay, so internalized ableism, I didn't 100% understand it, but you explained it to me really, really well. So can you explain it for the audience?
So my understanding of internalized ableism is essentially, once I learned I was disabled, because I never imagined having ADHD or autism made you disabled. And then I looked back on my life and realized, oh, shit, I have lived with disabilities, and forced myself through it and tried to navigate my way through it, and have looked around and realized that my 100% is other people's 200%, because I commit and throw myself into so much stuff. But in so much in life, I would say to myself, well, everybody else can do that. Why can't you? Oh, that boy can sit still in class. So why can't you? He can get an A in maths. So why can't you? And comparison is the killer of joy. And so much of my life, I compared myself to other people, and I went, well, they can fit in and they've got lots of friends. So I should be able to fit in and have lots of friends. And then when I wasn't able to do that and struggled with that, I mentally kicked 7 lumps of shit out of myself and filled myself with fear and shame and disgust, and had these really horrible, icky feelings around myself, which is still ongoing. And I believe personally that is internalized ableism, because I have learned so much about myself now, and I've learned that I'm autistic and I'm ADHD. I struggle with bright lights and loud sounds. I'm not explaining this as well as I explained it to you the other day, but
No, it's good, man.
but there has been so many times in my life where I've gone, I should be able to do that. I should be able to get up for work at 8 o'clock and be there at 9 o'clock and be ready to work at 9 o'clock. But yet I can't. So rather than saying to myself, let's make accommodations, let's try and do new things, maybe you should be self-employed and work at your own working hours, I didn't. I told myself, you're a failure, you should be ashamed of yourselves, other people can do it, why can't you do it? You're pathetic, get your shit together, everybody else can do it, why can't you do it? And that's the narrative, that's the train of thought, the tailspin thinking. And a lot of it is associated. Oh, it's awful. It's a horrible feeling. And there have been so many times where I have ignored requests for accommodations. People have said to me, I can see you're struggling with this. Would you like this accommodation to help? And rather than go, do you know what? I do really struggle with that. Yes, thank you very much for accepting that help. I'm going to take it. I've gone, no, I don't need help, because I don't want you to feel sorry for me. And because if you feel sorry for me, then there is a reason to feel sorry for me. And then that makes me feel pathetic. And that is a really hard place to be in when you really need help. But the environment that you've either grown up in through school or from your parents, or, not just talking from my own personal experience, but a lot of other people have different experiences with this. And somebody saying to me, you don't look disabled. I don't think I look disabled, because for so much of my life, I have not thought I was disabled. And yet now, when I'm stimming, I feel awkward because I feel like I look disabled. And that feeling, that mental thought, for me, is what I think is internalized ableism.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, and that's when you explained it to me, I was like, oh right, yeah, that totally makes sense because I've been there, and I know Sylvia's there, and I know she won't mind me saying this, but she is absolutely, she is just rife with internalized ableism. You know,
Mm,
she just, and it was ingrained in her from a very young age. You know, where it's like, oh, you can't show weakness. You know, it's like, oh, you know,
mm,
boys don't cry sort of thing, and
mm.
you know, men don't show emotions,
That's
and women are
normal.
too
This isn't normal.
emotional, and
That's not
oh, you're,
normal.
yeah, or telling a woman who's literally having a terrible moment, oh, you're just being hysterical. Oh, it's the hormones. It's like, well, no,
Oh,
she's actually
yeah,
just going through like a genuinely bad
yeah.
experience, and you're being an asshole. And you know, it is really hard to be vulnerable, but I just think people need to stop using internalized ableism as like a swipe at someone, which I genuinely feel like people are doing, because I think that takes away what it's really there for, which is actually, I think it's a word that says, okay, you know, I need help. Like I've got
Mm,
internal ableism, and I need help with that. And it's something that I think people can really work on. And I think that's what this
mm,
whole episode has been about. It's about working on your internalized ableism, and realizing that it's okay to admit that you're disabled, and there isn't anything wrong with that. Like it's
mm.
okay to to say, "Oh, I'm a disabled person,"
You can
or
be
"I'm
autistic and
I'm a
still be in it.
person
Yeah.
with disabilities," you know,
Mm,
however you like to put it. Because I will use it both ways, by the way, because like people say, "Oh, being disabled doesn't define you," and I said, "Well, no, it doesn't define me, but not being disabled also doesn't define me. It is
mm.
all part of me, you know." So I'm either a person with disabilities or I'm a disabled person. Um, but yeah, so wonderfully put, dude. And I love the fact that I keep, you know, you always say about, you know, you learn from me, and I love the fact that I learn from you. And I think that it's really important that we just keep an our open mind and just
Mm.
keep trying to learn.
Yeah, I
That
think it's
also
so
helps.
I think there is so much importance in, you know, for you listeners as well. This is a safe space to have honest, neurodivergent conversation. The best advocate you are ever going to get is an authentic autistic person because
Yeah.
it's life experience. We may not, like we keep saying, our experiences overlap, but no two are the same. And the more we talk, the more we normalize this for each other, that this is how life should be rather than telling ourselves how it should or shouldn't be. Um, so yeah, you know, I feel really good actually having that conversation. I almost feel like saying it out loud reinforces how you feel, you know.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, tell yourself you love yourself. I'm gonna go away and
Yeah.
try and work on that.
Oh, I
Uh,
hope you do, man, because I
Definitely.
love you. Like
Do you
genuinely.
know what? And I love you, and I'm learning to love me too.
Mm, yay.
Should we do the hot topic?
Hot topic.
Let's fire it up.
Yeah.
So, what is this week's hot topic, Mr. Jordan James?
It's crazy because there is some crazy shit going down in the US, but I'm kind of sick of it.
Yeah, we'll pivot
So
slightly.
it's still going down in the US, but it made me absolutely delighted, which is why I have my Lakers top on today. Luka Doncic, possibly the future of the NBA, one of the greatest players on the planet, Eastern European. That's my heritage, baby. And he's just got moved to the Lakers. Now, this is great news for me as I love the Lakers, and I can't wait to see what happens with him and LeBron James, the second greatest player of all time after Michael Jordan. That's just facts. Don't argue.
Oh, get in the comments.
And yeah, yeah, and it's just made me excited. Now people go, oh, well, what's that got to do with neurodivergence? Well, in my opinion, strong opinions, and I've watched a lot of interviews with him, and even his press conference at the Lakers, I saw that Luka Doncic, 25 years old, is absolutely, in my opinion, neurodivergent. That kid is just there, and my heart just went to him because yes, he's on millions of dollars. Yes, he's a mega superstar, but I don't think everybody forgets, but I think a lot of people forget he's a human. he's a kid. He's 25. He's literally like a year and a half older than my
Mm.
son.
He's lived in Dallas since he was like 18. He's really
He's
ingrained in the community. He's a huge
Yep.
part of that city.
Yep, he grew up in Slovenia and he had his big move, and it's a huge thing. And they were the ones that gave him the chance. And he was a big part, and he did loads of charity work and helped with the community. And he's just a really good kid. Like, I can't sing his praises enough of the human that he is. Don't forget about the basketball. He's amazing. But basketball aside, he's an amazing human. And he didn't know this was going to happen. It was a shock to everyone. This is why I talk about it. Everyone's like,
That's the
"Oh, I like football."
biggest trade of all time.
I think it's the biggest trade of all time. Like, literally, at its height, imagine Messi was just went to Real Madrid at the height of Messi's
For a
career.
bag of Doritos
Yeah.
and a 35-year-old injured.
Oh yeah, like they just swapped him
replacement.
from like an old Figo. You know,
Yeah.
just, we'll get Messi and you can have Figo. It was crazy. Like, it shocked the whole world, because I actually read it in English newspapers. They were like, "Oh,
it blew up my feed. Like, I've been reading about it for the past like 4 or 5 days. I have very little interest in the NBA, but this story is a huge, huge story
because
and
it doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make any sense. But also thinking about the human that's involved in this.
Yeah.
This kid, he's a kid. He's 5 years younger than me. He's a kid in my mind. 6'6", generational talent, absolutely wonderful human being with the life that he lives. Found out that he had to uproot his family after just buying a brand new huge home on a ranch with loads of wildlife around him, horses and everything. He found out via text that he was being sent to LA to buy a new house in a city that is currently having a terrible time of rebuilding with these fires and everything that's going on over there. It's basically a city that's upside down at the moment in turmoil. They've gone, by the way, you've now got to get on a private jet, go and speak to the second greatest player of all time, which probably isn't the easiest conversation to walk into when you're not prepared, and go, right, how are you going to be a part of this team? Where are you going to live? Where's your family going to go? What do you mean you want to bring your horses with you? You can't bring horses to LA. And just completely uprooted this young man's life simply because a medical doctor thinks he's slightly overweight.
No. There is there is a theory. There's a way deeper reason behind this. If you want to know, just you look on YouTube. There are millions of videos. This isn't going to be one of them. We're talking about the neurodivergence side of Luka Doncic, and I think that the biggest thing for him isn't just the unexpectedness, because we all know we like preparation. We all know it's the uprooting, the whirlwind. It's the rejection sensitivity dysphoria that poor kid is feeling, because he was the franchise. He was the future of the Dallas Mavericks.
That's a really good point.
And everybody made him feel good. He felt really, really good. And it's like, we don't want you anymore. And that must hurt when
especially
you're at
for the
top.
reasons they give as well.
And exactly. They basically said, "Oh yeah, we're the most annoying thing for me." And if you watch the GM of the Dallas Mavericks talk, he literally says, "Oh, we're doing this because we're doing this for our team. It makes our team better, and it makes our future better." And people are like, "I'm sorry." They got Anthony Davis from the Lakers, who's 32 years old. He's a great player, but he's not Luka Doncic. He's just not.
No.
And it's like, Figo was a great player, but he's not Messi. He's not Messi. So like, if somebody said, oh, forget about money, because money doesn't exchange in the NBA. It's just player for player. It's compensation. It's player for player, or picks, for like draft picks and things like that.
It's future capital, basically.
Yeah, they're basically saying, oh, you are worth an Anthony Davis, which is just nonsense.
Not nonsense.
It's just such nonsense.
Yeah, I saw it and was just like.
So he was, and his message to the Dallas fans was, I actually welled up, and the Dallas fans, they went crazy. They are so upset all over social media. I'm done with this franchise. I'm an LA fan now. I'm following
they've buried
Luka.
their team for the next 20 years. Like, when you have a generational player, If you have a generational player, it's generational. It's like they had the guy who won them a title in the 2000s. They've not been back to the final since. For me, it just seems so nonsensical. But again, like the American sports system with like the ownership or governors that they call them in the NFL. It really amazes me how quick they are to just be like, "Oh yeah, you live in Boston with your family, and right to Portland you go, boy. What about my family? Oh, we're not. Yeah, well, we only care if you can shoot hoops."
But I mean, wrapping this up, the whole NBA, and this isn't just the NBA, but we'll concentrate on that. There's a guy called Dennis Schroeder. Now, I like Dennis Schroeder. You know, he played for the Lakers at some point, and then he went to the Nets, and then he got his big move to the Warriors, and he was like, "Oh, okay, this is the place I'm going to go." Now, these places aren't like, you know, next to each other; they're all over the place. So, you know, and suddenly he's only been there a few weeks. They're like, "Oh, we're going to get this other player named Jimmy Butler," and they just traded him away.
Whoa,
And now
was
he's
he in the Butler? Whoa.
and now he's in Detroit. So this guy, he was in LA, then he's in Brooklyn, then he's uprooted and he's in San Francisco, and then he's uprooted weeks later. He's, well, in fact, it was months, which is even worse because he actually had time to settle in. It was a couple of months, and then he's uprooted to Detroit, and you're just like, yeah, like I said, lots of money, but these are humans. You can't just go, oh, money makes that okay. It's like money isn't everything, and money doesn't make you happy. Money is necessary, but if money is all you care about, then you're doing it wrong, or you are struggling so much that it's literally the only thing that's actually keeping you going. But money isn't feelings. Money isn't people. Money isn't mental health. I mean, you can be involved in
your
it.
bank account doesn't make you, doesn't equate to how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, and as we know, the richest person on the planet is an absolute dick. So, you know, just chuck that one in there as well. Wanker, arsehole.
Yeah, we'll just throw that on for the back of that week. But no, I think that's a great hot topic, because as amazing as Luka is, and the amount of generational wealth that he will receive by signing the Supermax at the Lakers and being there for the next 10, potentially 15 years, when you look at how conditioning and players look after themselves now. But you are right. The human being at the center of this story has basically been told that the home that he has built does not want him. We don't want you. We don't believe in you.
How much money you've got?
That's heartbreaking.
That's gonna hurt. So, yeah, and that was the hot topic, and that is the end of the show.
It is. I am out of spoons because I've now got to go to work and use more spoons. So, awesome. Can't wait for that.
Oops. I'm throwing spoons away. I've just got to sit around and play Tomb Raider. So,
I love that for you. I wish I was doing that. So
I need that.
Yeah. I've got a week off next week because I'm at the point of burnout with everything going on at the moment. So if you're listening to this, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.